What is going on, guys? I'm coming at you with another video. I apologize for the lack of uploads. I got new deck profiles coming soon on heroes. I got an updated deck profile on my true Dracos. And for right now, I just want to bring you guys the deck I've been recently playing. Now, you guys clicked on it. You guys obviously know it's Psy-Frame. Now, this is one of the most annoying decks to play against. And if you play this deck or you're planning on playing this deck, you can kind of expect your opponent to tell you how much they hate playing against that deck when they've actually never really played it. And if you guys ever played against Psy-Frames, you guys really know how annoying they are. So that's kind of the thing. They just basically play around negating everything your opponent does. So it's like you really don't have plays until your opponent has plays as a Psy-Frame player. So that's something that's really fun to do, but really annoying. It's mainly like a control counterattack type deck. So that's kind of the best way to explain it. Now, I just want to bring you guys the deck profile to showcase what cards I play and things like that. And I'll explain my card choices on the way through and the extra deck choices and things like that. But for the most part, let's get into it. So we have a 40 card main deck and a very small extra deck. You play 2 card D because you can basically in your main phase 1 tribute itself to draw 2 cards. The unfortunate part is that it does end your turn right there on the spot. But if you draw into like more Psy-Frames, you can basically, if you have your field spell, set your field spell first, or your other cards like that I play that I'll explain when it's time. For the most part, you basically just summon it. If you have nothing to set or anything, just basically tribute itself and draw 2 cards. Basically, you're going to be drawing into your Psy-Frames, and I'll explain what they do in a second. You play 3 Psy-Frame Alpha. Now, this is the searcher of the deck. He is a level 1 tuner. Always important to keep that in mind. So when your opponent normal summons or special summons, you can basically just reveal this from your hand, special summon a driver from your deck, a Psy-Frame driver, and then special summon this, and you get to search any Psy-Frame card. It doesn't negate the normal or special summon, but if you do have the field spell, it allows you to go into Zeta. Most of the time, I'll wait for my opponent to special summon, or most of the time I'll wait for my opponent to special summon before I use this thing, just so when Zeta hits the field, he has something to take with him. That's always important. A lot of the time, you want to go into you either want to search your field spell or you want to search a beta to defend yourself. 3 Psy-Frame beta because he's basically like Battle Fader on steroids. Again, he does the same thing as Alpha. When your opponent declares a direct attack, you reveal it, special summon a driver from your hand, deck or graveyard, and then special summon this. It's a level 1, so you can only really go into Zeta or Black Rose if you have the field spell. But yeah, it's also really important to note that you can't normal summon these things. You just have to wait till your opponent does something so you could actually activate their effects. So that's pretty much this, so it basically negates your opponent's attack, special summon the driver, destroys the attacking monster, and ends the battle phase right there on the spot. You kind of want to save this for your opponent's big boss monsters, so that's always a must. Most of the time they'll attack with it first. So yeah, 3 beta. Next we have 3 Zeta. This negates a spell card, and all you really have to do is reveal it from your hand, special summon a driver from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and basically it negates and destroys the activation of the spell card. It's also really cool that he's a level 2, so this guy can go into Omega. I'm really glad that they made this guy level 2 because, the driver is level 6 and this is level 2. So if you can synchro summon to your opponent's turn, you can instantly make that Omega, get rid of it, taking a card from your opponent's hand. And that's always really cool, but for the most part, you can basically remember him as the spell negator. Next, we have the MVP and the reason that this deck is easier to build now, which is Psy-Frame Gamma. This is the reprint from the Extreme Force Special Edition, and if you guys know, he's about $3 right now, so he's a really good sighting card if you have the driver already, because I know they kind of went up in price. But basically, he's like an effect veiler that destroys. So when your opponent activates an effect, or when a monster activates its effect, it could even be Ash Blossom. That's why it was so meta relevant. You can basically reveal it, special summon a driver from your deck, special summon this, and if you have your field spell, because you are playing Psy-Frame, so you play 3 of it, you can synchro summon to your opponent's turn, and basically just go into an Omega. Or if you like Desires, opening turn, your opponent Ash Blossoms you, can basically hit him with the Gamma, hit him with some damage, and then take a card from their hand, their turn. So it's always really cool to I'm really glad that Konami decided to reprint this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were happy. But yeah, Gamma's basically the guy you want to search. It's the one that kind of kill a lot of decks. When they normal summon the Canadia, just basically hit that Canadia. Next, for the interesting part is I only do play 2 driver. I do have the 3rd one, but I found that when I play the 3rd driver, I'm kind of just breaking too much with it. Plus, you can search it with Alpha if you're really that scared of banishing with Desires. But I never really had that trouble. Most of the time, you kind of only use one hand trap at a time, because this is basically like a hand trap whole deck. Like every card in this deck is a complete. It's like a hand trap. So yeah, I only play 2 driver because you only basically just need 1 to kind of stay in the game, as long as they don't really banish. As long as you have your field spell and you manage your resources correctly and you don't banish these things, you should be fine. We played double Ash and double Ogre. It's not really... It's a hand trap deck, so why not just play hand trap? Next, we have our field spell. Now, this is the heart and soul of the deck. Psy-Frame Circuit. Now, what this does is that it allows you to synchro summon your opponent's turn, but the card a lot of people forget is that... So what a lot of people forget is that at the start of the damage step, if you have like a Psy-Frame card, like if your opponent, or if you have a Psy-Frame monster, your opponent attacks into a Psy-Frame monster, you can basically discard a Psy-Frame monster to like boost that monster's attack. So I'm gonna use it like in context. Like let's say we have this Psy-Frame Lord Omega, right? And he's about to be attacked by a Chaos Max. So you could, at the beginning of the damage step, activate Psy-Frame Circuit. You can ditch a driver from your hand, or basically any other Psy-Frame card, and he'll basically give his attack to said Psy-Frame monster. So let's do the math here. So if it's a 2800 monster like that they're attacking into, and you give him 2500, he's now at 5300. Or for other examples, if he's at 2800, you can discard this, give him 1200, now he's basically at 4000. That's how kind of that works. And most of the time, you're gonna find yourself using it against Zeta, or if you're very desperate, when you special summon your Psy-Frames during your opponent's turn. If you don't have your field spell, you just use to get rid of any boss monsters, because sometimes your opponents forget that Psy-Frame Circuit like works like that. But yeah, this is a very like hard card to like not play with, because you're kind of scared of managing your resources. You're kind of scared of negating if you like playing the 2 drivers. But I play a card that I'll show you guys later that kind of makes this card better, like during your opponent's turn, because you are playing during your opponent's turn. You don't want your opponents to play. That's why you're playing Psy-Frames. For the most part, you need 2 Psychic Field Zone, and the best way to explain this card is basically you basically synchro summon from your banish zone. And what do I mean by that? So let's say you negated something with Gamma, right? Let's say you negated something with Gamma, so you have Gamma and Driver, and these are in your banish zone, right? You can put these back in your graveyard from your banish zone to synchro summon a level 7 or higher in defense position, but it has to be a psychic. So if, like, for example, if these 2 were in our banish zone, or any other were in our banish zone, as long as we synchro summon a psychic zone by putting cards from our banish zone into our graveyard, we can special summon. So in this example, like for this particular example, we could special summon a Psy-Frame Lord Omega, which is pretty awesome, in defense, and just wait for our opponent's turn. And not only does it like give you a monster on the field, but it kind of gives you that driver back in the graveyard, so you can keep abusing it in the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. Psy-Frame Lord Omega. Psychic Field Zone, that's the best way to explain it. So we only play 2 Field Zone. Next we play 2 Foolish Burial Goods, because we kind of want to send Psy-Frame Overload from our deck to the graveyard, for reasons I'll explain in a bit. So 2 Pot of Desires, because draw power, and 1 Upstart Goblin. Now I did think about playing 1 Day of Peace, but I kind of don't want to give my opponent that draw. So I'd rather give my opponent 1000 life points than a draw. Next we play 1 Regeki, because board wipes are important. Or you can play Dark Hole if Regeki's a little expensive right now, which I do recommend picking up, because it's around like $14 for Ultra Rare Regeki. And that card's kind of going to go up. We all know Regeki's always like a $20 card. But that's just my tip of the day. Next, 3 Psy-Frame Overload. Now this is, the best way to explain it is basically like a banishing masterpiece, but it has a cost from hand. So you activate it, right? So you banish a Psy-Frame card from your field or from your hand, and banish a card face down. So basically, if like your opponent has a masterpiece, let's say, and he's not immune to traps, he's right here, right? You can banish a Psy-Frame Driver from your hand, or any other Psy-Frame in your hand or on the field, and basically just get rid of masterpiece, banish it face down, and you don't have to worry about it. It basically just gets rid of any problematic card you have that like would have like problems like being like destroyed or sent to the graveyard, like things like that. And also the reason you play Foolish Burial Goods is because you want to send this to the graveyard, because you can banish it. Since it is a trap card, you can do it during your opponent's turn and add any Psy-Frame card from your deck to your hand. Most of the time I'll go into beta just like to protect myself if I had the field spell up, or if not, I'll go into gamma if it's like, if I know my opponent's playing and I know he heavily relies on that first normal summon to get his plays going. So it kind of just depends on the duel. It kind of depends on what you're playing against, so keep an eye out for that. But 3 Psy-Frame Overload is very important. I also want to mention that there's also this really funny interaction with Psy-Frame Lord Omega and Psy-Frame Overload, where like during your standby phase, you can basically just keep putting it back in your graveyard with Psy-Frame Lord Omega's effect to basically keep getting like searches. So that's also something I really want to mention. keep that in mind if you're like planning on playing the deck or learn how that interaction works. Next, we play my favorite card of this deck is Metaverse. Why? Because your opponent feels so happy when they finally destroy your field spell, only to know that you have another field spell right on the way. So that's also really cool. Metaverse is actually better than terraforming in this deck because again, you do revolve around playing your opponent. And like your opponent's like you react to your opponent's turn. So Metaverse is just a great card in this deck because if you could like if they destroy your field spell, you can just synchro summon or again using Metaverse. So that's pretty cool. Triple Metaverse. Now I didn't used to play this card, but a lot of people at my locals kind of expected me to play this card, so I kind of just threw this card in, and it's actually a really good card. It's Drowning Mirror Force, boys. So basically what it does when your opponent declares a direct attack, you shuffle all attack position monsters back into the deck. So you basically you don't want to deal with anything. You just basically hit them with that long salami Drowning Mirror Force, and basically their whole board is gone. That basically wraps it up for the 40 card extra deck. One of the things I also want to keep in mind is that this deck kind of can brick, so it's not that really consistent, and I really haven't found ways to make it to boost the consistency with the deck. But I kind of found success with this small like version I play. And I do really like the way it plays. I kind of like Psy-Frame because I like control decks. So if you like control decks, I kind of recommend picking up Psy-Frames. You can basically build them for under $80, and it's a really powerful deck. It's kind of like it's not a glass cannon. It just basically like all depends on how you play it. So that's basically my 2 cents for Psy-Frames. But you guys don't care for that. Let's talk a little bit about the extra deck. So we play Triple Omega. This is like a $12, $13 card right now. It's kind of the most expensive card in the deck. Yeah, I highly recommend getting 3. I did try 2, and too many occasions came up when I needed that third one and I didn't have it. So I just recommend that. What he basically does, he banishes himself in one card in your opponent's hand, and during your opponent's standby phase, you can shuffle a banished card from your graveyard, from your banish zone into your graveyard. So that's pretty cool. Next we play Triple Zeta, and he's like $1 card. You usually only make him once or twice, but having that third one, just in case you can, is always important. And he just banishes himself in an attack position special summon monster. I really wish Zeta could banish himself against like any monster, not necessarily special summon. But yeah, that's basically how it is. And basically the way you get over any monster like attacking with these guys is basically the field spell. That's why I say it's so important. You can discard a Psy-Frame card. Like for example, if you discard Epsilon, let's say, which we're not playing, it has 1500 attack, so it'll boost Psy-Frame Zeta from 2500 to 4000, giving the ability to beat over anything. Next we play one Black Rose Dragon. I only play one because I don't really go into it that many times. And the times you do go into it, it's like it blows your whole field, so you kind of blow the advantage you have. You can blow your field spell away. You only use it for like last resorts, you know. And if you have Psy-Frames in your hand, it's kind of situational in my opinion. Is Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend because it blows all special summon monsters, burns your opponent for 500. Most of the time, everybody is special summoning now. So if you could synchro summon during your opponent's turn and make this using the field spell. It is a level 8, so you basically just need any level 2 and driver to make this. It is 3000 attack, so it is pretty damn beefy. So that's basically it. Blows your opponent's special summon monsters, burns them for 500, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. We just play a very 8 card extra deck. Now I'm kind of like still learning to play this deck, but I kind of get the fundamentals of it and what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to negate. But if you guys have any recommendations for the extra deck, let me know. I'd be very happy to listen to it. If you play Psy-Frames and you're watching this deck profile to get like my opinion on it, I'd really like to hear your opinion on what cards to put in the extra deck and your reasoning behind them. But other than that, I'd really appreciate if you guys do that. So that pretty much wraps it up with the video for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the deck profile in the comment section below. Do you like the deck profile? Are there any cards you would play instead? Do you have any spicy techs in your Psy-Frame deck that you would recommend playing? But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Sesma. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.